Hi, Noah Gross here. I'm the author of this book, KAPAP From the Field to the Battlefield. Most likely you've never heard of this book, but even if you have, there's a 99% likelihood that you've never read it. Why? Because I wrote it in Hebrew. I know, what was I thinking, right? Well, 14 years of research later, and 3 years after I published it, I finally got it. I want it to be accessible to you and hundreds of thousands of people like you around the world who can't read Hebrew. I need your help to have this book professionally translated into English and edited. Now, given that I'm known to have a slight obsession for this subject matter at hand, I will also be rewriting and expanding the book, incorporating the last 5 years of research I've done with a great emphasis on Krav Maga in the IDF in the 1950s. If you are one of the hundreds of thousands of people around the world practicing Israeli hand-to-hand combat systems such as KAPAP and Krav Maga, you will want to read this book. There are many versions of the history of Krav Maga out there. They're plastered all over the internet. And while they do tell the story of Krav Maga, they're limited. And not only they're limited, there are many versions. It's quite confusing to tell what's true. But the question is not, is the history of Krav Maga out there? It's, is the history of Israeli hand-to-hand combat out there? And that is not. There are huge gaps in information. And what is provided very often is wrong. This is where my research and book come in. They reveal a great deal of important yet unknown information, which unravels the process by which Israeli hand-to-hand combat systems developed and became Krav Maga and KAPAP. I've spent 14 years researching this subject. I've interviewed dozens of veterans. I've visited all the major archives, sifting through tens of thousands of documents. I've read hundreds of books uncovering bits and pieces of important information, which I then put together into a coherent narrative which describes the process of the development of hand-to-hand combat in Israel, which in fact is the history of Krav Maga and KAPAP. To make my dream of making this book accessible to hundreds of thousands of people around the world, I need your help. There's a lot more work to be done. More research, more writing, editing, translating, graphic design, and then acquiring rights to publishing the images. And then of course publishing the book itself. If like me you're passionate about Israeli hand-to-hand combat systems and you want to read this book, please support this project. You may choose to contribute on the crowdfunding page, or you may simply tell a friend. Every little bit helps. I'm sure you'll find the way that suits you. Thank you.